All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Sunday, June 16th. Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there. I don't know why I went double finger guns, but you know what? Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Shout out to my dad as well. But we got June 16th and a 16-game MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, when I go through each and every one of these games, I'm going to give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays and directions that I'm leaning in, like player props as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye on the pinned comment. That is where all of my final plays will live. Hopefully you didn't keep an eye on the pinned comment yesterday, because I'm quite embarrassed by it. A 1-4 night, and when I say embarrassed, it's like the Tigers money line was almost like a throw-in. Like, it was my probably out of those 5 plays, my 5th most confident. You know what I mean? Like, the least confident play that I had, and that ends up being the one that crushes. So, did not see the board all too well there yesterday, but you know what? We're here to own it. We are gambling. We're sports betting. You're gonna have nights like this. Anyone that tells you otherwise, like, oh, I win 80% of my bets or 100%, they're lying. You know what? You're going to have bad nights. So a 1-4 night, it sucks, but let's move on. In terms of the ride of the day, it doesn't get all that much better. We had Mark coming in with Jose Quintana over 2.5 earned runs for plus money here. Does not hit, but the one thing I will say is, if you guys watched 2 days ago's video, Mark came in with an absolute banger. He had a plus 160 play cash for us. So you know what? He goes 1-1 in this ride of the day stretch and makes some money for everyone if you did tail. So this one loses. Mark, you know the rules. Gotta drop the womp womp. But overall, a positive 2-game stretch there. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. All you have to use is hashtag ride of the day or ROTD in the comments. Give me an absolute banger of a play. Let me know why you like it, and I'll be jumping on board with one person's play, giving you a shout out then in the next video, win or loss. If you win, we continue to ride with your plays. Let's go ahead and jump into this slate. If you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, guys, hit the like button as well. We're cruising right now. We're grinding, and I want to bounce back from yesterday. So go ahead and hit that like button for good luck. Let's dive in. Game number 1, we got Chicago, the Cubs, taking on the Cardinals here. Chicago favored in this one at -130. Jameson Taillon on the mound going up against Miles Mikolas. So far in this series, they've split, and we've seen kind of one-sided affairs. A 3-0 win for St. Louis, then a 5-1 win for Chicago. You might be looking at this being like, is that total actually at 11? And yeah, it looks like there's like 15 to 20 mile-an-hour winds blowing out directly to the outfield in Wrigley. So looks like the books are expecting a lot of runs in this one, and I see it, and I'll agree with it. I'm not necessarily going to take the over, but the way that I end up kind of breaking down this game is based on the fact that we should see a lot of balls get hit, and it kind of comes down to the idea of, well, Mikolas is a very, very much pitcher where, you know, when guys do hit him, he's not the biggest like barrel percent guy, I get that either, but when guys do hit him, it's absolutely, it's a hard hit. Like, he's in the 20th percentile in the league of hard hit percentage, which is not all that great, and barrel rate, right? So like I said, it's not like focusing on that. I'm more or less focusing on the hard hit percentage, but guys do hit him as well, and when they hit them, they hit him hard. And Jameson Taillon, on the other hand, is actually really good when it comes to hard hit percentage. So I didn't really need to even look much further than that, right? You have the Cubs, who I think have a standable lineup here, going up against a guy that if they hit hard, the ball should travel further because of that win. So I'm going to lean Cubs money line in this one. Definitely a chance to be a final play. Like I said, the total, I get why it's up there, and I don't think it's necessarily an under spot, so I'm going to lean slightly towards the over, but I don't think I pull the trigger myself, because if you've been sports betting long enough, you always know these sort of anomaly games where it's like, oh my God, the weather's so nice, the wind's blowing out. It's probably going to be like a 1-0 game. You know what I mean? So nonetheless, I'm going to lean towards the Cubs here on the money line. I'll lean over, but I don't think that makes its way into being a final play. And then I'm going to kind of contradict myself here in terms of, you know, I think there's going to be a lot of action and a lot of runs and bases, but I'm going to look at Nolan Gorman of the Cardinals under 1.5 bases. He bats, you know, righties a little bit better than he does lefties, but even batting righties, he's batting .216 on the season. So nothing that's all that much, you know, crazy, right? His extra base hit percent is 50%, which is a little worrisome. Especially with this win, but we're taking a flyer here because Taillon's going to throw a fastball, a cutter, and a curve as his 3 main pitches. Both the fastball and the cutter, the fastball and the curve, Nolan Gorman does not hit very well. The cutter he does, so hopefully he doesn't see too many of those, but, you know, 2 out of the 3 top pitches that he's going to see, I don't think he fares too well against. So, yeah, Cubs money line, Gorman's under in bases, and then maybe we take a peek at the over. All right, next up, and this should be a good one, and it's definitely a tough one to pick. We got Baltimore taking on Philadelphia. Corbin Burns on the mound, and you're probably like, well, then why is it tough to pick, right? Corbin Burns, you're getting them at -135 with Corbin Burns. But Zach Wheeler's on the mound for Philadelphia, and Zach Wheeler is a very, very good pitcher as well. So this does make it a little bit tougher for me. I think this game becomes somewhat more of a coin flip game than some might think. And, you know, my strategy in those coin flip games is, like, why not look at the plus money in terms of being able to roll with that, right? Like, when you think about it, if it's a coin flip, it should be like -110 or -110 on both sides, -108, whatever it is, right? But if you're going to give me +115 or +120 on one side, it's probably the side that's more worth taking. So I think I'm going to trust the coin flip, which sounds absolutely lunatic status to say, but I do trust Zach Wheeler here, and obviously Corbin Burns is going to throw a lot of, you know, I think his is a cutter, not necessarily a fastball, but Philly hits high-velocity pitches fairly well here. So does Baltimore, so I think I'm going to trust that one of these teams not goes off, but has a decent batting performance, and that total is also very low. So give me the Phillies, give me the over. I mean, I'll sound the psycho alert alarm because we have two of the best pitchers on the mound here, and I'm taking the over. And then we also have one of the better offenses with their best pitcher on the mound, and I'm betting the other team. Does sound kind of crazy, but just for the odds, like if this was a pick 'em, I would probably lean towards Baltimore. So this is fully a price play, and I'm letting you know that, okay? But overall, I just don't really want to pass up a Zach Wheeler Philly team at +120 odds, which maybe it's crazy, but nonetheless, that's the direction I'm leaning in. In terms of player props, nothing really that it's jumping out to me at this moment. I could see some unders just due to the fact that we have, you know, such stud pitchers on the mound, but I feel like the books are going to take a lot of that into account in terms of the odds and whatnot. So I'll probably just stick to either being crazy, taking the over, or the Phillies on the money line. I get it. It's crazy, but you know what? We're probably going to do something like that. And you know what? Speaking of crazy, you guys are absolutely crazy if you are not on Sleeper yet, guys. They have a free square right now, or not a free square, excuse me, a promo square right now. Glass now, his strikeout line down to 5.5. Sleeper's an amazing app. All you do is go through and find more or less for the projected numbers of player props. You put 2 or more players into your slip. The more you win, the more you get paid out. And what I love about them, which you'll see with this little clip here, is that each and every selection you make has its own dynamic payout multiplier, so they don't just follow the fixed payout structure. I have a link in the pinned comment as well as the description. You'll get your first deposit 100% matched. It's totally worth checking out. I said it. We're being crazy about talking about last game. It's crazy if Sleeper's available in your state and you're not on it right now. It's my favorite player prop app out there. They also have a WNBA promo square going on right now, and I bet for tomorrow's game 5 of the NBA Finals, they'll probably have a free square drop for new users and that type of thing. So go ahead and check it out, guys. Again, that link in the pinned comment as well as the description, wherever you want to find it, whichever is easier. It'll auto apply to get the promo codes as well as that deposit match. You don't have to worry about a code, but if it asks for a code GUYBOSTON, GUYBOSTON. Go check it out. Go check out Sleeper. Again, that link is in the pinned comment or description. Seriously, guys, go check out this app. I stand by Sleeper 100%. It's my favorite DFS player prop app out there. Let's go ahead and jump back into the rest of the games here. Atlanta taking on Tampa Bay. Kind of a weird one here. We have Hurston Waldrop on the mound for Atlanta, only 1 start on the season, going up against Zach Eflin, who, just making note of this, the Rays are 5-0 in his last 5 starts, and you're getting them for plus money today. So maybe I'm going psycho all over the board here, looking at a bunch of underdogs. But I like Tampa Bay for plus 105 just due to the fact that I think that they can get to this pitcher. And it's not necessarily like Atlanta's offense has been absolutely extreme as of late. Now, in this series, and I want to say to close out the game against, let's see, Baltimore, 6 runs, right? It's looked very, very good. But prior to that, it was, 0 runs, 1 run, 3 runs, a 5-run game, then a 0 run. Like, this Atlanta offense has not been firing on all cylinders, so to take them as favorites behind this pitcher, I think you'd have to assume or something that, this offense is going to continue to fire, but I don't really feel that comfortable doing so. So whether or not we have the cojones to pull trigger on this and make it a final play, that's still TBD, but I don't necessarily sit here and say that, I'm confident in taking Atlanta at this price when you can get Tampa Bay, who, potentially could get to this pitcher for plus money. So I'll lean in that direction. When it comes to a total here, don't feel all that strongly about it, but, maybe we'll lean towards the under just because I'm kind of talking about Atlanta's offense falling off. But overall, I don't think they have much of a stance on the total here, but I'll lean under. I could see maybe like a 5-4 game at most, which would be a push here. All right, Washington taking on Miami. Now, I will say I wanted to get to the Nationals, or excuse me, the Marlins here. Jesus Luzardo's on the mound going up against Mitchell Parker, both left-handed pitchers. Both these teams kind of struggle hitting lefties. But, you know, Mitchell Parker is going to throw 66% fastballs. Marlins, in their last 30 days here, runs above average in terms of batting against pitches, 29th against the fastball. So they lose a little bit of an edge there. And Luzardo has been so bad on the road, and he just hasn't been like Jesus Luzardo that we know and maybe love so far this year, really. He kind of put together a decent stretch, but then everything kind of fell off. So I wanted to get to the Marlins. I don't think I can here. Give me Washington on the money line. They've obviously dominated this series so far, 8-1, 4-0. Do they? I think this is a 3-game series, so this would be a sweep if they took it home. But again, I just kind of have to trust what we've seen from Washington as of late and almost fade the Marlins. In terms of Mitchell Parker, I'm not going to sit here and be like he's been absolutely amazing or anything like that, but you can make the argument and probably win the argument that he's been better than Jesus Luzardo, right? So he's going up against a team that shouldn't hit him up all that much. Yeah, that's the direction I'm going to lean in. But it is kind of tough because I wanted to back Luzardo to some degree for plus money. You know what I mean? Like that was almost my, honestly, kind of like my initial, like, let's try and get this out there. We didn't end up getting there, numbers-wise. Another play that I'll like, and we'll continue to ride with it, I guess, if it continues to cash. We'll see. Josh Bell under 1.5 bases. It's kind of priced out now, minus 145 on Caesars, but 7 straight games he's the under here. In 6 straight games he has 0 bases, going up against a left-handed pitcher. And Parker, he bats 180 against lefties on the season, so I don't mind this spot for him. Josh Bell under 1.5 bases could be a player prop that we stare down the barrel of today. Don't think we talked about the total. I hate to say it 2 games in a row. I don't have much of a feeling for this total, but I do think that both bats could struggle. So I'm going to lean towards the under, but I think if I had to rank these, it's Washington money line, Bell player prop, and then the total at the bottom there in terms of ranking those 3. All right, next up we have Toronto taking on Cleveland. I think I want to roll with Cleveland again for plus money. We bet them yesterday. They didn't come through. Today they have Ben Lively on the mound, who has been pretty good and pretty solid, but not so much on the road, which worries me. He's going up against Jose Barrios for Toronto, who's been very good at home, but I still believe Cleveland has the better offense here, and Toronto doesn't hit fastballs well. That's a big part of Ben Lively's pitch mix. Same thing with the slider. They're bottom 10 in that, and he throws a decent amount of sliders, but it's not like Cleveland's bats bat what Barrios throws all that well either, so I don't want to take that and stake my claim with that. More or less what I'm looking for is the fact that Cleveland kind of had a what I would consider a letdown game. I know they're plus money underdogs yesterday, and that's kind of why we bet them, but 5-0 just doesn't necessarily, and you got 5 innings out of Carrasco. Like it just seemed like they could have had a little bit more. I think there was they had a bunch of guys left on base too, right? So I think that there's some runs left in the tank here, and it's the same reason why we bet Detroit yesterday as, big underdogs, and that ended up cashing. So I'm going to stick with that strategy. Give me Cleveland here on the money line. In terms of the total, I might go Toronto, like team total under, if we can get them under at, don't have it up in front of me, but I can probably find it very quickly here. Toronto's team total right now, we can get under... under 4.5 for minus 150 on MGM, under 4 for minus 130 on Caesars. Like, that might be the move. I could see this being a 4-3 or 5-4 type of a game, but that's kind of why I'm staying away from the full game total, because I want Cleveland, like I just said, they have runs left in the tank. I don't want to have to be like Cleveland money line, but don't score too many now. You know what I mean? So I'm going to lean towards a Toronto team total under, hoping Cleveland's bullpen goes out there and does their thing. They're way more rested than Toronto and a better bullpen in the first place, right? So I think this could be a good spot for Cleveland money line for plus money, and potentially locking up Toronto in terms of, odds here. Team total odds. All right, we got the Mets taking on the Padres. On the mound for the Mets, going to be Tyler McGill going up against Dylan Cease. If you don't know, I really do like Dylan Cease, even if sometimes I'm taking him when I shouldn't be, in a sense, giving him too much credit. But I do think this could be a good spot for him here. On the road, he's been pitching well. He's got a 1.8 ERA over his last 5 games in the first place, going against Tyler McGill, who the team is 1-4 in his last 5 starts. He's got a 2 flat ERA, so obviously not all that much worse, but his last couple starts haven't been that great. Only he's pitching 9 innings total in those last couple starts. So I'm going to back Cease here. I'm also going to back just the Padres offense over the Mets here against right-handed pitchers. So hopefully that is the case and that rings true. Give me the Padres here on the money line. That total is very, very low, obviously. I think this is a spot for a nerfy overall. Like, so I'm going to say, okay, fine. I'm going to take your 7, but you're already saying that it's going to be a low-scoring game. The books are telling us that, right? I like this nerfy. I think both these pitchers could be really good through the first part of the lineup here. So as a play, I guess, even outside of the total, the nerfy is definitely something that could be a final play today. We've been pretty decent with those as of late. We lost yesterday's, but still don't mind it. I also have a player prop, so that's kind of my total play. I like the under, but 7's a little bit too low to roll with. A player prop is going to be Brandon Nimmo, or Nimmo under 0.5 walks. Dylan Cease's walk line is only at 1.5, and Nimmo's only walked once in his last 11 games. So I like this spot for him. He strikes out a decent amount against the slider and fastball as well, which is great because those are Cease's main pitches, right? They make up nearly 80-something% of his pitch arsenal, maybe even 90. I think those are like his only 2 pitches. So if he's going to strike out against those, he's not necessarily going to walk. The one concern is that when you have a guy like Cease who's going to throw a lot of sliders, which obviously is a pitch that moves, if that's not on, he might walk a lot of guys, and Nimmo could be in there. But I like that. For minus 125 odds, looking at Brandon Nimmo to not walk seems like it could be a nice little spot here. So another play in which I like. I'm going to lean towards Brandon Nimmo's under 0.5 walks. Of course, we bet the Brewers 2 nights ago. They lose. Then yesterday, they win this one 3-1. On the mound today for the Brewers is going to be Colin Rea going up against Frankie Montas. Simple one for me. I don't know if we actually get there because of the price, but I like the Brewers. I think they have the better bullpen, the better bats, and the better pitcher, especially with Colin Rea at home. So give me Milwaukee here on the money line. When it comes to what we're looking at from a total perspective, I think the Reds struggle to get to 5 runs, so that's good for the Brewers money line, right? But if I'm saying that the Brewers win this game and I could see Cincinnati scoring 3 or 4 runs, I think by default I'm going to have to take a peek at the over, just due to the fact that I want, so far we saw one high-scoring game, right, went to extras, and then we saw a low-scoring game yesterday. With these 2 pitchers on the mound, definitely capable of letting some bats get to them. I'll lean towards the over for sure. All right, Houston taking on Detroit. Detroit being our sole win. I think they scored, 8 runs in the first inning or first and second yesterday, so that was a good look, but like I said, it was kind of like a lucky one anyways. But on the mound for Houston is going to be Eric Lauer, who I don't think has pitched this season unless I'm just having trouble finding the data. Going up against Kenta Maeda here for Detroit. So now you have 2 pitchers that I just don't really, know what to make of. Like, I definitely don't like Maeda, and we don't have much to look at from this season from Lauer. Now, we do have last year's stats and whatnot, in which he had a 6.56 ERA, a 1.7 whip. So it's not like, you have a stud coming in here. And there's a reason why I think he just got, I think he he was in the minors with, I could have this totally wrong, but it's in the brief synopsis I read up on him. Minors with the Pirates this year. He opted out of the contract and then got scooped up by Houston. Does that sound right? Whatever. Either way, I didn't put too much weight into the pitching in this matchup because I'm just going to look at the offenses, and him being a lefty does impact Detroit a little bit, kind of middle of the pack there offensively, whereas Houston going up against right-handed pitcher, we know the deal, right? 2nd in average, 5th in WRC+, 6th in OPS, 3rd in ISO, 3rd in slugging. So Houston money line is going to be my play here. I think that's probably the move in a sense, just overall, due to the fact that, I look at this and I say, well, this pitcher's pitching for Houston. It's probably helping out the odds just a little bit, right? And they lost 13-5 yesterday. Like, this should be a Houston bounce back spot, hopefully, in terms of our play here. In terms of the total, I'm not going to lean in under in a game in which I think Houston's offense is going to be the thing that determines it, so I'm going to lean towards the over as well. All right, Minnesota taking on Oakland. I'm kind of tired of this series because every day we come in and there's a huge price tag associated with Minnesota over them. So far, we've seen a 6-2 win for Minnesota and then a 6-5 win. Today on the mound is going to be Bailey Ober going up against J.P. Sears. Bailey Ober's been pretty good at home. 1.08 whip with an average against of 219. On the season, he has an average against of 242, so that is a sufficient drop-off. At home, his strikeout rate goes up, 4 points or so as well. So I think this is probably a spot in which we could, target Bailey Ober's, probably strikeout line. I think that he has a good chance to strike out a decent amount of guys here. And second, maybe if you like Minnesota in some sort of a parlay. But, overall, again, like, this is kind of an iffy spot just due to the fact of the price. But Ober's strikeout line is for plus money. It's 5.5 right now at plus 130. He hasn't done that in 5 straight games, but he's going up against a team that strikes out a lot. So could be worth the flyer A little bit, okay? That's what I would say, a little bit. In terms of the money, in terms of the pitching for Oakland, we have JP Sears on the mound who isn't like terrible. Like he's kind of made I was about to say made a believer in me. He hasn't, but I would always rag on this guy and whatnot, right? He's not all that bad, but he really only pitches very well against left-handed hitters, right? In Minnesota's lineup today, that's right, no left-handed hitters expected to start. So it just makes it a tough spot for him. It kind of adds on top of what we said about the game here with Minnesota winning it. So yeah, I'll lean towards the under as well. I think this could be another sort of even like a 5-2 type of a game, which would stay under. But yeah, considering taking a peek at Bailey Ober's strikeout line for sure. I don't even want to look at this game. We had Colorado's team total under 4.5 yesterday, right? And I get it. Oh, but they're at Coors and they're in Colorado. I understand that altitude is a factor in that type of thing. But man, oh man, they scored 16 runs. They quadrupled, or not quite, yeah, pretty much tripled up, I guess I could say, on our play there. Yeah, so not the best look from your boy here. I did like the spot, but you know what? Jared Jones didn't look all that great, obviously. They had 4 runs, I think, in like the 3rd inning, so I was like, all right, well, one more run loses this one. And sure enough, it did. Now, on the mound for Pittsburgh, I've seen a couple different names. Jeffries is probably the most likely starter. At one point, I saw Skeens, and I was like, oh, you're giving me like these odds for Skeens going up against Colorado. Doesn't look like it's going to be him anymore. So for what it's worth, I still do lean towards Pittsburgh here, but in a very, I guess a way less capacity, because I did think that we had a chance of getting Skeens pitching against them. So I'll lean Pittsburgh on the money line here. I don't think that they get routed like they did yesterday. And they had won 6 of the last 10 meetings here. So I think that they probably get things back on track here and don't lose a series to Colorado, who has only won 4 of their last 10 games, including the one they just won. In terms of the total, we don't have a number yet. I would assume it's going to be right around 11 or 12. I'm going to lean towards the under, but you know what? That's seemingly been getting me trouble in this series, so I'm probably not going to bet it myself. Remember, I said something like that, right? We get too many times the guppies like, well, you said you're doing the under. And I was like, no, I didn't. I lean that direction. I like talking sports. I give a pick on every game. And, to the people that are like, well, then why do you do that if you don't like it? The answer is what I just said. I like talking about sports, so we're going to go through each and every game, and you'll be able to tell, if you have an IQ of 2, how confident I am in a game for the most part. So, yeah, little rant there. Let's go. Let's keep moving on here. San Francisco taking on the Angels. Kind of a tough one here, because I did want to actually look at San Francisco and bet them, because 2 games now I thought that they should have or could have won. Looking at it from the beginning or from pregame, they've lost, but now they're -1. It says 92, -192 on the graph. You can actually get them for a little bit better of a price tag, -184 right now. But I do think that there's a strong advantage with Kyle Harrison on the mound with their bullpen going up against Jose Suarez, and I think their bats are better. So I do think that San Francisco could be the play, but maybe just maybe it could be some sort of a, maybe a like a throw-in sort of, I guess. I don't know if I want to. Fine, I'll say it. A run line in the first 5. I like that spot for them, but overall, it's like I don't trust San Francisco as much as, I think I should if I'm going to be laying a run line. So run line in the first 5 is probably the way that I'm more comfortable, because I don't think that I could trust a -1.5. So yeah, San Francisco on the run line. I think for -0.5 in the first 5, you can get it for -125 on DraftKings. That's probably the only way that I would end up playing it. In terms of what we're looking at for a total, I think this one finishes probably like 5-4, so slightly lean towards the over. Again, we have 2 pitchers listed so far. I've seen Suarez, and I think Joyce. I'm not sure much about him, but I think he's opening, or either they don't have a confirmed starter yet. Either way, I think that there could be some runs on the San Francisco side of things, and maybe LA throws in a few to kind of help out there. All right, before we get into the last 5 games of today's NBA or MLB slate, let's dive into a little bit of a talking about the Fade Me store, guys. The final 5 games, as we'll call it. We do have a discount code live right now. This is how you type it out. Final 5 right there at the top. So you spell out final, 5 is the number. You're going to get 10% off your order today. If you do want to support us and pick up some merch, I have the Guppy Cross Out tee right now. But these are just some of the many products we have over there. Our newest release, the King of the Bases, as well as the Gambler Blackout collection there too. But tons of cool stuff over there, guys. If you do want to check it out and, again, support us, make sure to check it out. FadeMe.store. I'll put a link in the pinned comment. Oh, looks like we sold out of this one, which is a great hoodie. But yeah, I'll put a link in the pinned comment. It's also in the description, or you can just go to FadeMe.store. And again, the discount code is going to be like this: Final 5, all one word. You're going to get 10% off your order. We're not posting that anywhere else or on social or anything like that. So if you're watching the video, if you made it this far, you get that discount code. Also comment 24 if you made it this far, because you made it 24 minutes into the video. Shout out to you guys. That cha-ching is for you. But let's dive into this one. We got Seattle taking on the Rangers. Logan Gilbert on the mound going up against Dane Dunning. So I do think that there's a decent pitching advantage here for Seattle. I do like myself some Logan Gilbert. In terms of, I guess, a money line play, minus 135, you can get that over MGM. I think that that's going to be the move. Seattle's won 2 straight here. They've also won 6 of their last 7 games and 7 of their last 10, so I like it. In terms of the total, it's at 7.5 now. I do think that, we have an opportunity for Seattle to kind of go out there and score a decent amount of runs against a guy like Dane Dunning, but still, overall, this is a pretty aggressive line by the books, because with Dane Dunning on the mound, I feel like I'm also ragging on Dane Dunning. I'm more or less comparing him to Gilbert, right? And he's not been great on the road, so it's worth ragging to some degree. I still am going to kind of trust where this line's come out at, and the fact that we saw an over with 2 better pitchers yesterday. So I think everything kind of comes back down and water finds its level. I'm going to lean towards the under in this one as well, weirdly enough. The Dodgers and the Royals. I literally had Royals. I mean, go watch the video back. I had Royals money line right ready to go, place bet for plus 210 or something. And I was like, nah, it's too much of a trap. They win 7-2. That womps for me. Could have had a huge plus money hit. Hopefully some of you guys took that lean yesterday and said, you know what, I like it enough to roll with it, because it was a good spot. I don't think we have the same situation here today. Brady Singer's on the mound against Tyler Glasnow. Glasnow's coming off of a start which he had 12 strikeouts, but 5 earned runs in 6 innings. So I don't even know how he's going to feel about his last start, right? I think he let up a couple home runs, which more or less, 1 or 2 pitches that got away from him, and then that's where the earned runs come from. But this is such a tough spot, because I almost want to take the Royals again, but I'm like, dude, are you doing that just because you missed out yesterday, right? I think that this is probably a Dodgers spot, but not for the money. So sure, I'll lean towards the Royals for the plus money. Just know that Brady Singer on the road, especially against this Dodgers team, kind of has me shaking in my boots, and I feel like we missed out on yesterday's play, because I think that was a good look, good rationale, and it just went because we didn't place it. In terms of the total, though, I think if the Royals are going to win, they got to score some runs again, and I expect the Dodgers to put up a decent number after a performance of 2 yesterday, so I'll lean towards the over as well. We got the D-backs taking on the White Sox. White Sox win yesterday 9-2 on the back of Fedde there. In terms of what I'm liking in this game, we have Drew Thorpe on the mound for the White Sox, who only has 1 start on the season. It was last week. 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run. It was against Seattle, going up against Jordan Montgomery, who has not been very good whatsoever. I'll preface this by saying I don't think that I get there to bet this myself, but the Diamondbacks in this situation for minus 180 odds, unless you're saying, oh my God, they have to bounce back after a bad loss yesterday, that's the only rationale and reasoning that I could kind of hear out. So I'll take the White Sox, or lean towards the White Sox in this one. I also don't mind the over. I think that we could see Jordan Montgomery hit up again. And then if the Diamondbacks are going to win this one, maybe they'll probably put up some runs against Thorpe. So I could see this one getting to the 9-10 range. So I'll lean towards the over. I probably like that more than a side. But again, I'm having trouble finding an edge for Arizona, yet they're sitting there at minus 180 favorites. So if you're sitting there like in Arizona, it better be either because of something that I'm not seeing, which is totally, in the realm of possibilities, or there's a little bit of something there that it's like, there's got to be a bounce back spot. Like, you just got to have the feeling of the bounce back, I guess. All right, next up, we got the Red Sox taking on the Yankees. Red Sox winning yesterday 8-4. We've seen 2 high-scoring games one high-scoring game from each team so far this series. Tonight, I should say, we have Cutter Crawford on the bump here against Marcus Stroman. This is one where it's like, is the Red Sox fan getting to me? Because I think the Red Sox can stay in this one. They're plus 124 right now, but for plus 1.5, you're getting minus 130 odds on DraftKings. I kind of like that spot. So I think I'm going to lean Red Sox run line, but just know it's called Guy Boston Sports for a reason. I'm from Boston. I am a Red Sox fan, so at least I'm telling you guys transparently and not making up some BS reasons why I like the Red Sox here. But I do. I think that, Stroman has had his struggles. He hasn't been great on the road. Both these offenses have looked good in the last 30 days. Stroman's going to throw a lot of sinkers. Red Sox are decent at hitting that. He's going to throw a lot of cutters. Red Sox are decent. The slider, same exact sort of boat. Now, every pitch the Yankees, other than a changeup, hit pretty damn well, so I don't even need to go through that. But both bullpens are pretty good. Like, this could just be a battle of two good teams. The one thing I will say is, if you are liking the Yankees, the bullpen probably is your argument. They have what you could consider a better bullpen, kind of, I would say, to some degree, maybe in the same lane. But the Red Sox used a lot of guys yesterday, so there is that for sure. But overall, like, it's weird to look at the numbers and be like, holy crap, like, Cutter Crawford's actually looked better in some starts than Stroman. And I'm talking, got to go bigger sample size, because Cutter Crawford's, the wheels have definitely started to fall off a little bit. But he's gone up against some damn good lineups. Milwaukee, Baltimore, Atlanta, and Philadelphia in his last 4 starts. So anyone that's coming in here being like, his last 4 starts, he stunk, it's like he's faced against some damn good teams, right? But throwing the Yankees, it shouldn't make any difference, right? So, like, speaking out of both sides of my mouth, I can get the argument. But overall, like, Stroman has had some struggles here, right? Like, against Minnesota or against a blow-up start, like 7 starts ago or something. I forget what it was, but I think he's a better pitcher. But there's some arguments to be made that Cutter Crawford on the season has put together a better body of work. But again, I'm a biased Red Sox fan, as this is the haters might call me in the comments there. In terms of the total, I could see the over. Like I said, both offenses kind of, intrigue me a little bit, and we've seen both offenses at least have one game where they've gone off so far this series. Maybe, they come back down to earth a little bit, but both contribute tonight. All right, Minnesota taking on Oakland, game number 2. If you guys don't know, I really just don't like doubleheaders all that much. And this is one that definitely, Chris Paddock against Joey Estes, not something that I'm really considered playing, but probably still something in the realm of like liking Minnesota. And in terms of a total, I really couldn't care less. So hate to end it on like a weird note. Let's just act like the picks ended after Boston taking on New York, because that is all I have for you guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy this. Appreciate everyone that tunes in. I feel like a broken record saying how thankful I am, but it's crazy to me. Like, every time we close that video and it's like, all right, we know our routine, going through the games and whatnot. And then when it's like, hey, open mic, hot mic, like nothing to do, let's talk about something. It's like, thank you. Thank you. It's like a verbal diarrhea every time, but it's true. I don't know if this feeling will ever wear off. I appreciate everyone that tunes in, all the comments, whether you're a guppy or a loyal, supporter, and everything like that. Appreciate the hell out of you. And yeah, catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.